Oh my goodness, everybody. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 14 is officially out and it went down this week. For those of you who may have forgotten, last week we left off with Yuka officially accepting the duel against Deborah to decide what is going to happen to cursed spirits moving forward. The aliens want all curses to be left alive and the sorcerers obviously want to keep killing curses, so whoever wins will decide the fate of all curses moving forward. Now, this week's chapter began right after Yuka accepted the duel, and it cut to a conversation that the higher-ups were having about how absolutely cooked they are after having to send Yuka. This dude is out here sweating because he knows how truly over it is, and he said, "Are we really going to make Yuka fight?" And then Miyaguni replied saying, "It's not like we've got much of a choice." Yeah, if even your own people have no confidence in you winning whatsoever, then it might be time to wrap it up. Yuka, I'm gonna need the theories of you having the 10 shadows technique to be true, because your only chance at beating Deborah is to literally spawn Maharaga and Rika on his head. Anyways, in the next page, we then see Yuka splashing her face with water and looking extremely drained of life and depressed. And here we see more of the conversation that the higher-ups were having about what actions they could take against Deborah, saying that even the American military troops stationed in Japan wouldn't be able to do anything to Deborah, and that sending them would just cause unnecessary deaths. And then this dude brought up the idea of using other nuclear powers against Deborah, aka an atomic bomb, to which the girl replies, "I seriously doubt anyone wants to be the second country to nuke Japan," but this dude once again pushes for the idea of dropping a bomb on Deborah's head, saying that even though they insist we are non-nuclear, we possess the means to produce them. Guys, call me crazy, but this dude might actually be cooking. If Deborah really is out here moving as crazy as Sukuna, and with how sorry and full of bums this era of Jujutsu sorcerers is, dropping an atomic bomb on his head might be the single only viable option. In fact, why not be safe and just go ahead and drop 50 on his head? We cannot be taking any chances against this man. After this conversation the higher-ups had, the chapter then cut to a flashback that MARU was having of him and Cross when they were kids. In this flashback, MARU picked up a rock on their home planet and Cross told him that their father called it Muru and that he spent his whole life searching for it up until his last moments. And he then explained that Muru is a special kind of metal. It can store cursed energy and convert it into other forms of energy, and due to how valuable it was, it caused a lot of tension between the Rumelians and Disconte. By the way, make sure y'all pay very close attention to everything going on with these stones because they seem to be pretty crazy. In the flashback, MARU then realized that the Muru stone his father left behind for them wasn't actually Muru and it was just a regular rock. So in a burst of anger, he then threw the rock to the ground and destroyed it, and then shouted, "You died to protect this thing? You abandoned your duties as a warrior, Dad." We then find out that MARU did this because he didn't want Cross finding out that it was just a regular rock, and that he too wanted to believe in the lie that his father didn't just die for a normal, pointless rock. Then MARU has a little bit of a flash forward to the same moments we saw in a previous chapter where Deborah killed Dula, who was the new father figure in MARU and Cross's life, and we see Cross restraining MARU from crashing out once more by trying to attack Deborah. And basically, as MARU is remembering this moment, he is realizing that he regrets acting this way. As he said, "I was alone in my obsession with my duties as a warrior. I'm a lot like my father, stubborn as a goat. My dad died because of his obsession with Muru, and I kept hurting Cross because of my obsession with my duties. I want to talk to him again. I want to apologize to him." And here we see Cross in present day on the day of the duel. Yeah, Gege, you are one sick individual for having MARU say he wants to talk to Cross again and apologize to him. And if I didn't know any better, I would still think there is hope of this happening. But I know for a fact that you had MARU say this just so you could terrorize our hearts in the future. You are not slick, and I will not be falling for your tricks any longer. We then jump to Tsurugi having an inner monologue on the day of the duel, where he said something about Samuria's story just doesn't add up. The existence of their spaceship, Nanax, even if they did manage to figure out cursed energy to fuel confusion, could they build a spaceship capable of interstellar travel while carrying 50,000 people? Assuming it's within their technology, it still shouldn't have been possible considering time constraints. Something extraordinary must have happened, and that would be... And then we see Tsurugi meeting up with Maru as he says, "It was your doing, right, Maru?" By the way, there is a lot of yap incoming from these two, but it's important, so lock in. Tsurugi then continues talking to Maru, basically just telling him everything he's figured out about him and about how the aliens landed on Earth, where he says the spaceship was made with MARU. MARU doesn't just interact with cursed energy, it also works with cursed techniques. The Sumerian warriors managed to travel through the stars thanks to the technique of a single sorcerer, didn't they? Maru then tells him that it wasn't just me, it was mine and Cross's technique that was able to achieve this, and with this information now being confirmed, Tsurugi tells Maru, "Can't you leave Japan?" Cross then says that they can't because the Rumelians found out about Kalyan, so it's impossible. Tsurugi then brings up the duel between Deborah and Yuka, and Maru straight up tells him that they should forfeit because Yuka is beyond cooked. But Tsurugi brings up that sorcerers on Earth can use binding vows when they're pushed up against a wall, and even with Maru now knowing that binding vows can amplify a sorcerer's curse techniques and energy, he still said once again that Yuka is fried against Deborah. Yeah, there truly might not be any hope left for us, bro. Yuji or Megami, if you can hear me right now, we need you ASAP. Tsurugi then explains that Yuka has been wanting to sacrifice herself ever since she found out that she only has 6 months left to live because she wants her death to be useful for something greater. But Tsurugi, as the great brother that he is, wants to stop this duel, and he believes that even if Yuka only has 3 months to live, he wants her to live out all 3 of those months and not a day less. And he then says that's what older brothers do, right, Maru? After this, he then kindly asks Maru to please take the Sumerians and leave Earth, but Maru tells him that they have around 50,000 passengers that are mostly women and children. It took them 2 years to arrive to Earth, which exhausted their technique in the process. They are scared of the possibility of never reaching anywhere and being left as dust in the dark and vast universe, and that the Sumerians have nowhere else to go, so it will not be possible for them to leave Earth. Tsurugi then says, "My bad, I guess I wasn't clear enough," and he then shouts with his blade fully out saying, "Get out of here, Maru," and Maru responds by also pulling out a weapon of his own and saying, "That won't happen. I am a warrior." Bro, these two were literally chilling with each other, having the greatest time of their life only 2 chapters ago, and Gege has somehow managed to already turn them against each other. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this chapter was full of yap, but that yap was low-key worth it because it just set up not only 1, but 2 fights that we are now going to be getting next chapter. This fight between Tsurugi and Maru is happening on the same day of the Deborah versus Yuka fight, which means next week's chapter is going to be the craziest one we've gotten yet. If Deborah and Yuka actually end up fighting in the next chapter, this leaves the possibility of us maybe getting a reveal of a hidden technique like the 10 shadows that Yuka could be hiding. It gives us the possibility of us seeing Rika come back, and it also leaves the possibility of Yuji coming in to stop the duel and save Yuka. Yeah, if you guys do not want to miss the absolute insanity that's about to go down next chapter, then make sure you pull up to the live stream that I'll be doing here on YouTube Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, where I'll be reading the leaks live for you guys the second they drop. If you subscribe to your boy and turn on notifications, then YouTube will tell you exactly when the live begins so you don't miss it.